In today's video, we're going to be talking about the big flip. What is the big flip? The big flip is when we're going to go from a very mild, very warm southeast ridge pattern and transition after Christmas into a much more wintry, cold, and potentially snowy pattern. Real quickly, let's talk about my consulting company, Prestige Weather. We're closing out an amazing year with so many happy customers. If you're looking for more than the generic hourly or daily forecasts that can be so frustrating and very broad, look no further than Prestige Weather. We help out individuals and businesses alike. If you're an individual looking for better, more accurate, and direct weather information, be sure to subscribe to our standard package. That's only $4.99 a month. You get early access to direct weather, seasonal, and monthly forecasts. Also, weekly one-on-one calls with us talking about the weather, and regional forecasts cater to your area. If you're a business, organization, or event manager, be sure to email us at prestigeweather@gmail.com or use the sign-up sheet on our website business section. We would love to work with you. We've been helping out so many businesses, organizations, and events just like yours plan for the weather ahead. We offer consulting calls, texts, and emails cater to your exact location of need. We will be on standby during your job or event and give you updates from start to finish. We also offer long range, medium range, and short range forecasts. We can help with rainfall and snowfall forecasts, plus the timing of onset and ending, which is so important. We pride ourselves on being highly flexible, and we're always willing to deliver on your specific needs. Put a meteorologist in your pocket so you no longer have to guess what the weather will do. Let's go over it. I want to just dive into it, and as we can see, there is all this Arctic air up here in the Arctic, where it's supposed to be. And this is by the time we're taking a look at after Christmas, but let's wait for it to rewind. We're going to see a much more mild area here, and that's all before Christmas. This is the upper air pattern. This isn't your surface temperatures. This is the upper air temperatures. And we can see that the upper air becomes a lot more Arctic as we can see this air really diving in after Christmas. This is Christmas Day right here, and look, right after that we see that dive in, and that is going to unleash cooler temperatures and snowier times potentially afterwards. We're eyeballing basically the 29th onward through into the beginning of January for potentially a very active cold and stormy pattern that could spell some of our first snowy conditions since the winter began. As we just dive into the modeled guidance, I'm going to dive into a couple things here. We're going to go over our normal pattern, of course, where we're going to talk about all of the storms over the next 10 days, the overall jet stream pattern, potential temperatures, things of that nature. And then we're going to dive into the total precipitation, total snowfall during that period, and then the temperature pattern. You guys have been requesting the temperature anomalies to return. We're going to be going over those again today, and then diving into both of our ensemble models, the European and the GFS ensemble models, to show you that potentially snowy pattern when there will be cold air in the eastern states and storms moving along it. Let's dive into things. Now, we're taking a look at today. I really want to glance at this and just move past it because really we just have some showers, potentially thunderstorms across Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Arkansas, but not much to go over. Also a little bit of activity here in Southern California as far as storms are concerned. Certainly something going on there. By the time we reach Friday, we see this storm that was offshore of California kind of wants to move inland, so we're going to be tracking that. We also have a low way up in Canada here. It has a swinging front though, and this does bring some precipitation here to the northwest. And we still have showery activity across the central states. So a couple of things to discuss today, of course, even over just the next couple of days. So let's go ahead and move this forward towards Saturday here. And we can see that all of it begins to come together. We have a trough here in the west. Ridge in the central states especially descends a little bit towards the east, and that's overall your pattern that we're taking a look at. So definitely a very interesting pattern, but the trend is we get our daily emojis there. Let's move that, but we can see that with this jet stream doing something like this, we unleash warmer temperatures into the east, and this is a day before Christmas Eve, 2 days before Christmas. This is the 23rd of December, and things are going to be looking very warm during this time frame, unless you're out west where we do have a Rocky Mountain snowstorm happening as this dip in the northern jet has occurred and a little bit of a ridge here in the southern jet. When they merge like that, as you can see, they're very close together. I'm going to do a little arrow here so you can tell just how close those two jet streams are together there. That creates these snowfall events. So we're going to be watching for this conjunction to happen here in the east, and that's what we're going to be eyeballing for potential snow events in the eastern states. And we have to move past Christmas to see that, but we're going to take a look at Christmas Eve anyway. We do have a very minor low over Nebraska and Kansas, but don't let that kind of let you take this lightly, because even though the low is weak, we actually see major impacts. Heavy snowfall across the Rockies and into portions of the plains here. A cold front set up underneath that will bring potential thunderstorms with those winds moving in from the south to the east of that low or that cold front. That's the day on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Day, it does form into an organized low as 1,000 millibar low pressure center. We have a cold front stretching like this, so expect thunderstorms along these areas on Christmas Day. Warm front up here extending all the way into Canada. Showery activity can be expected along that frontal boundary. And really underneath all of that, warmer temperatures is the trend. We see warm air pushing in as a result of that cold or warm front. And then cold air is swinging into the deeper south underneath everything as a result of that cold front. Very interesting day on Christmas Day. But as we head towards Boxing Day, the day after, we get some precipitation along the eastern seaboard here. So for the southeast, we're seeing some storminess. And we're even going to be watching for a low to develop offshore of the southeast. So we're going to be watching that very closely. And Wednesday, we have a lot of storms. Really what our southern jet is doing here is something like this. So we see the southern jet doing that. The northern jet is doing something like this by this point. So not really that close together. As you can see, pretty far apart, and we're seeing all rain events along this southern jet because of that. Now, what's interesting is by the time we reach the 28th, things are getting closer together. We are seeing an organized low, 992 here with a secondary low of 1,004 to the south. Clearly, your southern jet is doing something like this. Your northern jet, however, is getting a little bit closer. So we're seeing something like this. Definitely, I'm thinking the northeast might get on some snow here around the 28th, 29th time frame. We see a 981 here to the east, but look at your jet streams. I mean, we have the southern jet moving in like this, northern jet moving in like this, and this allows for cold air to move behind where there's still precipitation, and we end up with some snowfall perhaps for Pennsylvania and New York. This is still very far out, but I could see the scenario where we get a post-Christmas snowstorm, especially in the northeast. And this is really the catalyst that is going to give way to cold air overall in the east. This is how we end the model run. But we have a very intense ridge here along the west, and then this deep digging trough here in the central and the eastern states. And we can see snowfall showers happening plentifully across the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, and into the northeast. And we're basically waiting on this southern jet to move in with a low along that, because conditions are cold enough for snowfall if we get a storm moving in along that polar and southern jet that have now basically joined forces. Total precipitation as a result of all of this, the west coast is going to get hammered, as you can see. Highly above average precipitation. Also the central states, as we have a very slow moving system move to the north through here around Christmas. And then we still get some coastal activity happening throughout the model run. So perhaps above average activity along the eastern coast as well. Total snowfall, I mean, we're really seeing the same amount of highly active snowfall here in the west, of course, in the central states, maybe picked up a little bit from previous weeks. But I think the biggest shocker here is that we're seeing so much more across the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and Northeast. And that is mostly due to the pattern flipping within this model run. And we're really seeing a big time change in the expected conditions because of that. Now, as we move into these temperature anomalies, you can see things are actually quite cold along the east, neutral at warmest. Pretty cold. So for all of the people that have been complaining about it not being wintry, the temperatures haven't been the problem. We've seen cold temperatures. We just have not seen very many storms line up with that. That's all looking to change here very soon. As we keep going towards Christmas, this is going to be the pattern. This is Christmas Day, Monday, December 25th, and we do have some colder temperatures out west, maybe even neutral, and that's going to be indicative of a negative PNA. All that means is that there's colder temperatures out west. This encourages warmth to surge in the central and eastern states, and sure enough, we see that taking place here on Christmas. Immediately when we move after Christmas, what we begin to see is cold moving back into especially the southeast region of the states, something like this. Warmer temperatures filling in for the west, indicating positive PNA. And this is going to allow for pretty frequent cold blasts to make their way here into the east. If we can get anything moving along the coast in the way of low pressure systems, we're going to be looking at potential snowfall during this entire period, because even as we move towards the 5th of January, we still see very cold conditions up and down the east here, from New England down south to the mid-Atlantic to the southeast and even the deeper south. We see colder temperatures, so you can tell that it is very primed for a low to move along the coast here. That would certainly bring snowfall if that can occur at all. Certainly very interesting. This is an ensemble model as well at 360 hours. So we have 30 different models put together, and we're getting their mean average here. And we're still even able to basically come to a conclusive colder pattern solution here. Let's go over our ensembles as far as precipitation though, because I want to see how they have storms moving along this. Here's the overall pattern that we're watching for. This is the 29th, and I mean, we see surging warmth here. Polar jet is probably doing something like this, and then we have this storm moving along this area. Wouldn't even be surprised if we could potentially get some snowfall during that kind of very late December time frame here for the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. That could trend snowier. The cold temperatures stick around, and then we start to get stormy again. Again, it's an ensemble model, so even though we're seeing light colors here, don't take it lightly. This just means that we're seeing a variety of locations and models showing different solutions. But the more gray and green it gets, the more models we have on board with some pretty major storms moving along the area. So we have the northern jet doing something like this. Let me try to do that more accurately. Something like this. And then we have that southern jet moving right along that. And this is what we've been talking about for days now. And this is going to put all of these areas in here, especially on high alert for potential snowstorms. And this lasts again all the way through the model run. We can tell some pretty major storms could be moving through this area, which is certainly a red flag for potential snowstorm. This is a perfect time to mention, again, like we talked about earlier in this video, if you are a business organization or event manager, be sure to send us an email at prestigeweather@gmail.com or use the website link. That's going to be for the business section, so go ahead and head over there and fill out the form. We would love to work with you. Certainly, as we expect colder and snowier times ahead, the impacts are going to be greater, and the need for a weather consulting team will be really, really high. We can help you with the onset of these snowstorms, the potential for these snowstorms in the long range, and just help you figure out what needs to be done for your specific business, organization, or event. The onset and the ending is the biggest thing, and we've had so many clients that have requested that service, and it's been so helpful for them to figure out, especially snow removal companies that need to know when they need to get their trucks out there. Landscaping companies need to know when the weather will be nice. Really, any outdoor business can certainly find great use of this service, and we've had so many happy clients. Be sure to check it out. We would love to help you. We can schedule a meeting, so be sure to shoot us an email, and let's get in touch. All right, let's move on to our final model here, the GEFS, which is your GFS ensemble model. Again, warmer times ahead. We get into this colder in the east pattern, and look at all the blue showing up all of a sudden. So potential snowfall in the northeast and mid-Atlantic already by the 29th. Definitely something to watch for. That comes to an end, but we begin to see more. Let me refresh this. We need to get to the end of this model run here. We begin to see more storms move through. Look at all the blue. We see it back here for the plains, the mid-Atlantic and southeast, and the northeast here. As we keep going, we continue to see this potential snowfall for all of these areas. Really, the only thing to take away from this is that there's storms going in a variety of paths here on this particular model, but something like this is mostly what we're seeing. And again, there's 30 members, so of course you're going to get variety in the long range here, but regardless, potential snowfall in this area on multiple different occasions, certainly a lot more than what we've been experiencing. Could be a highly active pattern from about the 29th through at least the first week of January, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. Definitely, if you guys want daily updates, we do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.